Hey, I hope you're doing good. So, I've been having some trouble trying to get this recorded, so we're going to do the best we can to just get through the thing. So, thanks for listening. My name is Henry Harrison. I like to make these weekly astrology forecast videos, and I'd very much appreciate your subscription and liking the video below. So, as we talked about last week, Sunday, which will be the day after I record this, in the early afternoon, we have Mercury opposing Pluto retrograde and the moon opposing Mars. So, probably a rather confrontational, heated sort of day with the moon opposing Mars, who's in Mercury's sign, and Mercury opposing Pluto, Mercury being in the sun's sign. So, seems pretty hot, cut and dry sort of day. And as we go into the evening, late evening, the moon will go into Pisces and meet up with Jupiter. So that's how we end the week. So, I think Jupiter will sort of mollify the overall condition. He will be moving into Aquarius, where he'll be meeting with that cold Saturnian condition that Aquarius has been in for some time now. So this week Jupiter will be moving back to bring something else that needs to be brought to that area of your life, right? So if whatever house Aquarius rules for you, Jupiter will be bringing something new back there as he retrogrades, which is very interesting because he'll be coming back into the sign rather than moving into it. So I wonder how that'll actually show up for you. But something good is coming back in, something needs to be done, finished still with Jupiter and Aquarius, and we'll be seeing the beginnings of that. And I think the most notable thing about this week is the way that the moon and Venus will be touching on the nodes. So on Monday here, the moon is opposing Venus and makes a square to the north and south node. So we have the moon in this nearly a grand cross pattern. So I guess we'll start here, Monday. The moon has pretty good dignity with Jupiter there. Mars is approaching the anaretic degree. He's not in it yet, but that will be happening this week because Mars will be changing signs. So at the time that happens, probably be very heated, very over the top. This moment here is probably pretty colored by this Mars opposition. We're kind of seeing maybe like a foreshadowing of the main event when Mars opposes Jupiter there. But with the moon in Pisces making opposition to Venus, and making it the T-square, with Venus approaching the T-square to the nodes, we have a fatal moment. We have a fatal callback to some things in the past and things in the future. When Venus retrograded in Gemini, they were on top of the North Node, which was significant at the time. Venus has that very fatal 8-year cycle, and she'll be going retrograde at the end of the year in Capricorn in December. So hard to say what that'll be, but it's definitely like a fatal, like coming to grips with like the reality of how like the specific kind of gritty things you have to do in your life like fit into the bigger picture, right? I think that's really what Monday is talking about. I think we're faced with this value readjustment. We've kind of begun it, right? It's a different way of approaching desire, really. we have different sort of flavor to our desire with Venus and Virgo. And it sounds boring, but be tapped in on Monday, and because I think we have some fatal choices to make, so be wise on Monday with what you choose to do. And the moon will be applying to Neptune by the early morning. Looks like the moon makes a sextile to Uranus and makes the conjunction to Neptune. And that's Tuesday there. Jupiter changes signs this morning here. Or am I wrong? I am. What changes signs? It's Mercury. Mercury changes signs at the end of the day. So we have this moon in Pisces on top of Neptune with Mercury in the anaretic degree of Cancer, right? So the moon is not combusted the sun yet, but under the beams. So Mercury energy really isn't that good right now. We did talk about how things would get on track sort of with business when Mercury left those last few degrees of Gemini and went into Cancer. But I'm not sure that was a great delineation, because Mercury lost dignity, and things sort of entered this, well, we're in it right now with this current situation. Mercury needing to express in this it's kind of like a one-off, like, dynamic way that just sort of keeps on going, right, with the Mercury Cancer thing. I hope you get that, because it kind of makes sense to me. But it's not exactly good for the swiftness of business and trains of thought really flowing, right? Like, it's not like our trains of thought are like being channeled like water, so to speak. I think they could be in a certain other configuration, but they're not necessarily right here. So, but that will be coming to end because Mercury will be changing signs. So, but we are reaching this critical moment of the way we want to communicate in this Cancerian area. This topic being dealt with for you in Cancer will be coming to an end with Mercury. So, this house theme will probably be extra emphasized, and same thing with the anaretic degree of Leo for you, whatever that might be. Because, we're going to be changing gears. These planets will be dealing with different aspects of your chart, namely, Leo and Virgo areas of your chart. But, I think here, since the moon is making that trine to Mercury on top of Neptune, there is a good moment here, good opportunity. It's that specialized way that I don't want to be too down on Mercury and Cancer, because it is what it is. I don't really feel like it's working for me right now so much. But it does have like a way that we can tap into, that dreamy, illusory or otherwise intuitive, psychic sort of perception. It can be more manifest with the moon on top of Neptune, and that does give us an opportunity, because look how close Mercury is to the sun. This trine will be very even when the moon is void of course off of this, I think it'll be all right. It looks like good energy for the most part going into Wednesday. Yeah. So as soon as the moon goes into Aries on Wednesday morning, they hit that trine to Mercury. And it's good, if this Cancer moon thing wasn't really working for you, or this Mercury and Cancer thing wasn't working for you, because, think about it, like, if the moon is ruling your Mercury, that can really kind of get in the way of doing a kind of business, or some type of business you might want to do, because it's sort of, it's limited by the fickleness of the moon, right, is delivering those results through Mercury for us, but no more now, as the Mercury will be moving into Leo, being ruled by the Sun, who's in his own domicile. Mercury's moving pretty fast. There'll be Cazimi, and then moving very fast to approach Venus and Mars coming up in the next couple of weeks. So, I don't think, so just to let you know that there are these sort of conditions on or around Mercury. He will be, he's right on the Cazimi, which he will be, opposing Saturn. That's a very strong moment for Mercury, but, it will be very sobering, right, because it's opposing Saturn, and they're both zodiacally opposing Saturn and Jupiter, which is interesting because we have this Mercury-Jupiter opposition zodiacally playing out for as long as Mercury is in Leo. So the moon goes into Aries, and the Mars is in the anaretic degree, ruled by the Sun. So Sun is ruling the moon through Mars. So I think it's a good energy, and I mean these alignments to the other planets look really nice. As far as like flow of this moon and Aries energy is concerned, I think it'll be pretty good. I think this moon on top of Neptune thing, it could be talking about like some kind of maintenance or otherwise like, it could be like literally car maintenance that you want to do to kind of get ready, or like, we'll leave that alone. We'll leave it. You'll know what that is when it comes up. But I say all of that because I mean once the moon goes through there, it is very much about this directed, forceful push forward that we go through. And what were we at? So I know we missed something there. Yeah, so Jupiter in Aquarius, and the moon makes the final trine to the Sun. Yeah, so it's pretty clear in the chart. Pretty nice day on Wednesday. I like Wednesday in general for martial stuff. I mean, it does get kind of like, here's the thing, is like the moon, the Mars will be getting closer and closer to the critical degree of Leo. So I mean that martial force, being expressed in that very bold way could come out as a maybe not as much as we'd like. it might express itself in an undesirable way, especially with this square to Pluto that comes in on Thursday. So Wednesday looks pretty good, and we kind of keep it all in check with Saturn and the north and the south node there. It works very well, I think. Right? Okay, and that's Wednesday. Yep. So the moon is in Aries throughout this whole thing on Thursday. So Venus squares the north and the south node. Mars opposes Jupiter. And then Mars goes into Virgo. Is that right? Yeah, that's right. Yeah. So, I really don't know how to delineate this one exactly. I kind of really want to live through it, because it's really interesting to see the Jupiter retrograding right on the cusp there with Mars. So I wonder how that'll play out. I really do, because the moon will be ruled by that Mars the whole time. So Jupiter is expansive. He's integrating. He's optimistic, plenteous, bringing, and bestowing good, right? And Mars is separative, cutting, aggressive, kind of acerbic, angry. So, when it gets really angular, that'll probably be like kind of rough. But Venus is going through this T-square, and I know this is an important moment. It's a fateful moment where we consider kind of where we've been in the past and where we're going. I think maybe, hopefully, we can like really like meditate on that on this day and really get touched in, because I know that Venus, what she'll be doing in the end of this year, in December, and in the next mundane chart, the Aries ingress chart from 2022, Venus is in a malefic enclosure, so not a good situation for Venus next year. So I think it's a good day to be aware of what that really is. And it could be related to this, maybe these risky situations. I say that because of Uranus there. These are somehow like inventive technological solutions, that need to be rolled out or implemented. Maybe this is talking about the vaccine, or it's talking about like maybe like new tech related to these hardships with Saturn that Mercury is also beginning to talk to us about, because he's zodiacally opposing Saturn. So yeah, it's kind of crazy. It's kind of intense because the moon is ruled by Mars. The moon is squaring Pluto. Not too closely, but it is pretty intense. I think it's just going to be an intense day, very martial oriented for most people. But I mean, yeah, you'll be ready. You'll be going. You'll be ready to go. And let's see. So with Mars in Virgo, we want to know what we're going to do, or otherwise have a list, or the specific things that you want to do is really what's emphasized. So make that plan, like make those lists, do those items, action items, right? Have actionable items that you can do. Don't just have a to-do list. When you make the list, like spell it out for yourself, like this is the way it's going to be done. If that's what you like to do. I probably won't use any lists, but I mean, it's that sort of way of going about things. Mars is still opposing Jupiter, which things are going to go back to kind of like they were before the summer, kind of. We're in a different world now. Like the charts are changed. Like the mundane astrology charts are different, right? Oh, I don't even know where I was going with that. We'll just stick to the chart. We'll stick to the chart. Okay. Yeah, Mars and Virgo. It is what it is. We'll talk about it later. But on Friday, the moon is making a sextile to Jupiter all day, which is awesome. And making a trine to Mars. So, and then it gets picked up. Yeah, the moon, so the moon goes into Taurus, who is ruled by this Venus, who's in, fall, because she's opposing her exaltation, right? Yeah. And then very interestingly, when we get to Saturday, the moon will make that square to the sun and Mercury one day before the Mercury cazimi and Mercury opposed Saturn. So, the last time that the moon was in Taurus, they were making that square to Mars. And Mars was making a square to Uranus. And that almost seems like a lifetime ago, to me at least. But, it is a very different dynamic here because Venus is in Virgo. Mercury is in Leo. The sun is in Leo. So the sun is calling the shots on a lot of different fronts here, and it really stays like that because the moon even next week will be moving through Gemini, Cancer, Leo, Virgo. So the sun will have a lot of as the sun opposes Saturn here, will be dealing with things that the sun symbolically has control over, and has control over in reality through disposition. But okay. So yeah, Saturday it looks subdued. It is like under this influence of a square to Saturn, but it also has this trine to Venus, which is very sweet and nice. And the sun is in the sextile in the trine to the north and the south node. So this cazimi is happening in a very fateful arrangement. The north and the south node, they work along this 19-year cycle that I think it's to the day. I don't know exactly how that cycle works, but it, knowing that can show you that it really is connected to the fate of where these planets are placed, right? So it is a very fateful moment. When we get to Sunday, this dreaminess is there with a sextile to Neptune and the moon. So it looks very enjoyable. I think we're breaking through into like a new, I don't want to say like going through a portal, but it is kind of like that. I've been going through a portal for sure. But Mercury, as they make that cazimi opposing Saturn, I think we are sobered up here, and we're looking. We're really looking at and talking about the restrictions and how they manifest for us on a personal level, and I think that sounds like really mundane to say, but it really is kind of I think what we'll be on about by that Sunday. And of course, Monday really takes that on a different front. So in the Monday, next week has its rough moments too, right? Every week will do that. But so interestingly, like look here when like the moon goes into Taurus here, the way the chains of disposition are here. So the sun is ruling Mercury, who's ruling Venus and Mars respectively, and then Venus is ruling the moon, and Saturn is ruling Jupiter. So that is a very I think there's like a grittiness to this week as these planets move through the anaretic degrees and into signs that they they don't do better, but they do differently, and I think that can be a really helpful thing as we go into next week. This week's kind of grounding. We had a few weeks of planets making aspects to outer planets, and we're going to have more of that coming up, but we kind of have like somewhat of a reprieve from that, and it's like the traditional planets are doing things, especially this week. But we will have Venus opposing Neptune coming up as well, Mars opposing Neptune. So I do wonder how grounded we will be in a couple weeks. So, I don't know if there's anything else I need to add. I haven't kind of skimmed over the end of the week there with the moon transit, but it does look like a pretty nice time. Overall, looks like a pretty good weekend. On Saturday night, when the moon goes over Uranus, I think we'll definitely see some type of uh, manifestation of Uranus for sure, right? That'll definitely come out on Saturday night. I feel like it's more easy to see it when the moon is right there with that planet rather than like making a square in opposition, which kind of like relate to it or like really give us some context of these moon contacts. I kind of like how some astrologers kind of deal with the outer planets like fixed stars, kind of, especially with the moon. It makes sense to me. I kind of think the aspects of the planets are pretty big, and the moon can be too if it's just set up like that, right? But yeah, this video is probably already too long. It's been good talking to you. I hope things are going well for you. God bless you. I hope God will give us strength and wisdom as we go through this. And God bless you in Jesus' name. Have a good one.